Hey, friends, this is your host, Rodrigo, and this is the Dapr in Action series. This is the latest session, actors. So, we're going to see actors today, but before I jump right into that topic, I want to show you some things. So, let's go ahead and open up the terminal because Dapr 1.15 was released, I think, last week, a few days ago, and I've been using Dapr 1.14, as you can see here on the screen. So it's a great moment for us to go ahead and update Dapr. I'm going to show you how to do that. I mentioned back in the day, back in December, right? When I started this series, hey, Dapr 1.15 is going to be released on the December 9 through 13. It didn't happen, but now we have Dapr 1.15 with us today. And let me show you how we can update Dapr. I believe I have something for you. Installing the Dapr CLI, verifying, initializing, uninstalling Dapr. I'm sure I mentioned this back in session 1. So we have two options here. You can remove the sidecar binaries and the placement container just by typing Dapr and uninstall, and you execute this command. And you can also use the --all flag to remove everything, even the Docker containers that are pulled from Docker Hub when you Dapr in it. So that's the technique I'm going to use today, Dapr uninstall, and let's see what happens. So I'm running Docker PS, right? So this is running some containers. So far, so good. So Dapr uninstall. Let's see what's going on here. Dapr uninstall. Oh, see, as you can see here on the screen, it's going to remove the Dapr directory, which is in my home folder, and all the Docker containers, such as Redis and the placement container. Placement is actually the service that is going to place the actors around the pods when you deploy Dapr in Kubernetes. And of course, if you're running in your own machine, this is a place and this is the service that is going to move those objects around, the placement service. Scheduler in Zipkin. So let's go ahead and see what happens. So first, let's ensure that I have .dapr, remember? Right? So Dapr uninstall, --all, and this is removing that Dapr folder and those containers, and also the entire .dapr folder, and it's going to remove a volume if it exists, which is not the case, and that's it. No Dapr version. Of course, I have the CLI, right? Because remember, those are two different things. This is the CLI that you can find here on the Dapr folder in the root of my C drive and your C drive. And so this is the CLI. And of course, I need to update the CLI first. So let's see if we have something. We have uninstall Dapr runtime. I already did this. Upgrade version. I don't see something for the CLI, but let's go ahead and Dapr.io, and I want to execute the PowerShell command that installs the latest version of the CLI. So docs, and then getting started. First step, install the Dapr CLI, install from terminal. This is Linux. I want to select Windows, and so install from command prompt. I think this is it, right? This is the one. And of course, you can use a specific version with this other option here. So let's see what happens. As you can see, I'm using the administrator terminal. So Dapr is detected, CLI version, blah, 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 downloading something. It's gonna, because I don't know what's downloading right now, right? 3 dots, it's not very helpful. Of course, it was downloading the CLI, the 1.15 CLI. Okay, cool. So Dapr double dash version. Bravo. Okay, cool. Dapr 1.15. And now I'm ready to go ahead and Dapr init, right? So remember that you have some other options, such as the dash key option for installing and initializing Dapr in Kubernetes, which is not the case right now. And I think that's important. And you have other options as well. And you also have the Slim option that is going to exclude the placement service, the scheduler, Redis, and Zipkin. So in other words, if you use the -S or /Slim option, you're responsible for downloading and installing those concrete components, meaning the state management component, right? And the observability option that you want, and of course, the placement service and the scheduler service, you have to manually initialize them, which is not the case. I'm just gonna execute Dapr init because it's so cool, so easy, so comfortable to do this. So it's gonna install the runtime 1.15.3. Okay, cool. And it's gonna download the binaries. Speaking of which, if I execute docker ps, something is going on here. Okay. So let's wait and see what's the final result of doing this, which is, having those containers, Dapr placement containers running, Redis, Zipkin, scheduler, and the Dapr binary has been installed. This is important, right? So let's navigate to home and then .dapr, and I have the Dapr folder back again. So if I navigate to components, I can find state store and pops up those manifest files that I've showed you in the past. So let's, for instance, see the contents of pops up. This is using Redis, my local host execution of Redis. That is, of course, the Docker container running on port 6379. And let's see what's the content of this manifest state store. And of course, this other one is using Redis as well. And take into account this attribute, actor state store. So this is important, friends, since the actor model that I'm going to show you today, the basics of the actor model and its concrete implementation in Dapr needs something like a state management store, because actors, they store their state, right? And they need a place to store the state. So that's why, in this case, you can enable actor support in your state store by using the actor state store attribute. Of course, you have to take into account that not all the different state stores support actors, I believe. So let's go back here and navigate to pops up. No, this is not the one. State management. And this is the explanation of state management and API reference. And let's see if we can see a list. State store components. So take into account this column, right? Check this out. So not all of them support actors. Of course, Redis, which is the default, it supports like everything, right? So this is the one. And just be careful because, I don't know, maybe you are trying to use GCP Firestore or, I don't know, the Azure Blob Storage. And they don't support actors, as you can see here on this table. Okay? Okay, so far so good. Dapr 1.15. I have my components for pops up and state store. So far so good. And nothing is running. And life's good right now. Okay, cool. Awesome. What in the world are actors in the context of distributed computing? So actors come from the actor model that was created many years ago, like in the 70s. And this is just the theory, the actor model, okay? That says an actor is a basic unit of computation, and it's allowed to do some processing and store some things and communicate between actors. They can send message between each other. And that is actually the only way that you can use for changing the state of the actor. That's it. Of course, I'm just, this is in plain English. There are many other details around the actor model. You can read the paper created by Carl Hewitt back in the day. And you can dive deeper into this, but this is actually the gist, okay? This is the gist of the actor model. You have an actor that performs some kind of processing and stores its state, okay? So actors have state and they can communicate between each other by using messages. And they use this concept of a mailbox, so you can send a message to an actor by using its mailbox, and the actor retrieves the message and executes the thing, right? Executes the logic behind the message retrieval. So far, so good. This is the theory, and there are many different implementations and concrete implementations, right, of the actor model. So Dapr is one, and there are many others, okay? So let's continue with the explanation. As I said before, an actor sends and receives messages by using this concept of a mailbox. And when it receives a message, it can do mostly three things, mainly, right? It can send messages to other actors that it knows about, or it can create some more actors, right? And finally, it can define what's going on with what it's going to do with the next message it receives. That is actually the theory behind those actors. This is the theory again, okay? So in Dapr implements the virtual actor pattern that was created in Project Orleans by Microsoft some years ago. Orleans is kind of cool because it's the concrete implementation of the theory behind the actor model, but Microsoft style, right? Microsoft-ish thing. So if you go and find information about Orleans, Orleans is not new. It actually comes from many years ago as well, since 2010, 2011, something like that. And Orleans was created. It's the implementation of the actor model. And there was this very, very famous implementation inspired by Orleans in Microsoft in Service Fabric. So you might remember Service Fabric. It is actually current. You can use Service Fabric today. But when the container wars, the orchestrator wars began back in 2010, I guess, when Kubernetes was created. So Kubernetes won the war. But back in the day, we had in Microsoft the Service Fabric SDK that Microsoft released as an open source project. And of course, we have Microsoft Service Fabric nowadays. You can deploy and you can provision some resources behind that kind of computing. In other words, you can use Service Fabric today, but it's not that people do regularly because Kubernetes is more popular and it was better for a lot of companies. However, Service Fabric implemented the virtual actor pattern. Remember, Orleans was the project, and they created, the Service Fabric team created the reliable actors SDK and platform, the development platform for creating actors on top of Service Fabric, and it was pretty cool. So I believe the reliable services, the ones with the state, are similar to those reliable actors in the inner workings. Anyway, if you happen to be a Service Fabric developer, you know what I'm talking about. If you don't worry. It doesn't matter. I'm just explaining a little bit of history behind Orleans and the implementation in Service Fabric. But that's it. So Dapr, inspired by the virtual actor pattern, it implements the virtual actor pattern that comes from Orleans, and it is actually very similar. You have those actors that have state, and you don't have to worry about the messaging thing and the infrastructure behind sending those messages to the mailboxes that each actor has, So this is pretty cool because you can focus on business logic rather than on infrastructure challenges, right? It's no fun to be, configuring and doing those infrastructure things when you're trying to engineer a solution by using the virtual actor, by using the actor model. That's why the virtual actor pattern is so cool. So, in other words, Dapr implements the virtual actor pattern that comes from Project Orleans, and it provides all the infrastructure needs that you require for your solution. And it also provides scalability and reliability that you expect from a platform such as Dapr, which is marvelous and fantastic. Okay, so that's the explanation, okay? How in the world we're gonna do this? Okay, let's see. Dapr in action. So I have some folders. Actors. I don't have an actors. Okay, actors. So .NET New. So I can create a console application. I can create any kind of application. Remember that Dapr provides an SDK for .NET applications, for .NET developers. So in this case, I want to use .NET Web API, and let's name it my actors, because that's a pretty cool name. And let's use controllers because you know me. I'm not a minimal APIs kind of person. So use controllers. I believe those are cooler. And I have this. Let's create .NET new solution, which is the SLN file, and .NET solution add this project. And that's it. My actors solution. So this is going to open in Visual Studio 2022. Remember that you can also use Visual Studio Code, but I'm more a Visual Studio 2022 kind of person. And this is a regular web API, nothing fancy here. And take into account that we have an SDK for actors. This is not the same one as the one that we use for other kind of projects in Dapr. So let's search for Dapr. And this is the one, okay? As you can see, there are two. Dapr Actors is the core libraries for using actors in Dapr. And this is the, some goodies for ASP.NET Core developers, such as adding the actors in the dependency injection container and using, ASP.NET Core kind of style when building applications. So this is the one that I'm going to use. At the time of this recording, the latest one is 1.15.1. This one, okay? Install. And let's accept the license. And we're ready to rumble. So this is just a package reference, nothing fancy. And let me change what's going on here. Okay, cool. So package reference, you don't need to use Dapr.ASP.NET Core if you're gonna use actors. So inside this reference is, there are other dependencies that this NuGet package has. So, okay, cool. So let's create an actor. An actor is this computational unit. You can think about actors as entities that have state. For instance, or for example, you can use actors for, let's say, a shopping cart. The shopping cart itself needs a state, so you can model your shopping cart as an actor by using Dapr. Or, I don't know, an employee inside an HR kind of system, or a patient in a hospital application, or a pet in a veterinary hospital application, and so on. So actors are granular in that sense. So those are the entities that have state, and you want to send messages to them, and they perform something. Okay, so I want to create a new actor. How in the world can I do this? So first off, let me delete this weather forecast controller nonsense, and this one as well. And let's rename this as my actors controller. My actors controller sounds better. Okay, my actors controller. Now, let's create a new actor. Let's name it my actor. And inside Dapr, we have a base class, which is actor, that comes from the Dapr.actors.runtime namespace. So this is the one that I want to use. Okay. And you need this constructor, the one that takes an actor host and passes the actor host to the base class, to the base object. Okay. speaking of which, of course, I can use the primary constructor syntax, which is so nice. Okay. And let's create something. Of course, you want to model your own actors with behavior, right? They need to do something meaningful. So that is the place where you're going to implement some kind of logic. For example, if you're building the shopping cart as an actor, you need some kind of interface that, includes the behavior that you want to implement, such as add product, or I don't know, return total, or remove product, and so on. Make sense? So let's see my actor. I want to keep it simple. Just an interface. Copilot is suggesting, hey, why don't you add a name? I'm not sure, to be honest. So let's see, public, I don't know, task, add something, right? Add string or add state, okay? Add state, string data, and public task, string, get state, and a string key or something. Could be data. So what I'm doing here is I'm just implementing the behavior that I want for my actor, right, in this interface. And of course, I want to implement my actor here. And I'm ready to use those methods for doing something. So take into account that the actor base class has some already pre-built properties and methods that you can use. For instance, if you type this, you can use host for getting the host of this actor. In other words, where in the world this actor is running, the ID, a logger. This is pretty cool because it's an iLogger, so you're not required to inject iLogger here in the primary constructor anymore. And we also have this state manager property. Again, you don't need to use the Dapr client object for sending the state. Can you see this? So I'm just using the property that comes from the actor base class for storing the state and returning the state. Make sense? Okay, now, what in the world are we gonna do this? I'm gonna do with this. So let me, I don't need a key or something. I just want to return the state. Let me go ahead and implement this interface again. And I'm gonna use state manager and add or update state async. And I think this is fine. Or is this hallucinating? No, it works actually. So return this. So returning, I think I'm gonna use other add state data. I think I'm relying too much on Copilot these days, right? Copilot is so cool, but sometimes it hallucinates. So I'm just using the add state async that comes from the state manager property inside the actor base class and here as well, right? Return state manager, get state of type string. This is a generic method, and I'm passing the state name. This is just the key. So you pass something right here, and it's going to be stored in the state store, right? So this is a state management thing inside the actor. Okay, cool. Now I'm ready to implement something for calling that actor. You know that the virtual actor pattern is so cool because if an actor is not running, is not executing in that particular moment, then it's going to be created just in time. So it's so cool. You don't need to worry about that existence. So this is suggesting some things. Let's see what's going on here. This is suggesting injecting the actor proxy factory and then create actor proxy of type myActor. I actually want to do this. So let's see if I can save the code here. So add state that is related with this HTTP post. Okay, this is passing the actor ID from the body. So far, so good. Nothing fancy here. Just a regular ASP.NET Core endpoint. Then it's going to create this actor by using create actor proxy that comes from this object, which is actor proxy factory. Okay. I believe you can also use actor proxy itself and then use create without injecting actor proxy factory. Take into account that you can also do that. I'm just following Copilot suggestion here. And then I'm going to pass the ID of the actor that I want to use. In this case, is the one that I'm receiving in the body. And you need to pass the type. So as you can see, the actor type is just the name, not the fully qualified name of the type, meaning you have to remove the namespaces, just the name. So you can use this technique, or you can also use name of, right? Which is, I think, better. Because if I changed the name of my actor, then the name of expression is going to be renamed as well. So what's going on here? Create actor proxy expects my actor, and it's telling me, hey, you know what? I can't do this. Not possible. Why? Well, it turns out that actors, your interfaces of the actor itself, it depends on your implementation. You need to implement iActor. Okay, that comes from Dapr.actors, as you can see here on the screen. So I implement iActor. This is just a marker interface, I believe. This is empty, as you can see here on the screen. Just a marker interface for expressing, hey, you know what? This interface that I'm creating is an actor. No behavior at all. So I made my actor as an iActor, and that's it. Okay. So I haven't seen the private chat. Okay, cool. I'm connected. I didn't check that at the beginning, but of course we're running. We're live. Okay, cool. So my actor is an iActor. I'm creating an instance of that by using create actor proxy. And remember, you can also use actor proxy proxy.create, and then pass my actor, and so on. I believe this is another technique. And in this case, I'm using the actor proxy factory. Speaking of which, let me use the primary constructor syntax. And it's just as easy as, add state, calling the behavior of your actor. Remember that I created add state right here in my interface. But of course, you can imagine, hey, add product, remove product, or calculate something. Or I don't know, if it's a patient, I don't know, register movement. That's important. Let's say that you're modeling some devices, some IoT kind of devices by using actors. So you want to know the current state of things. You can do that by using the actor implementation in Dapr. I don't know if you're using this for, I think in the Orleans webpage that I showed you, they mentioned that they were using the virtual actor pattern for Halo, the video game, right here, for storing, um, I believe, the scores or the state of the monsters and the state of the players when were playing online with some people. They were using. I don't know if that's true nowadays. I'm not sure if Halo exists anymore. To be honest, I think so, right? Anyway, um, so speaking of which, just imagine modeling the state of the players. The state of the monsters, the state of the machinery, or the guns or so on, right? So that's that's why we have the actor implementation, and that's one small example. In other enterprise applications, such as hospitals and HR and so on, you can implement those entities as actors, patients, employees, and so on. Anyway, okay, so far so good. HTTP post with this actor ID, and it's calling at state, and it's not a surprise that this is going to use the state management building block, right? That's why you need to have the actor support. Remember, right here, state store, this one, actor state store. You need to have it enabled. Make sense? Beautiful. This is a beautiful implementation. It's so easy to understand, I believe. So get state, I'm just receiving the actor ID, maybe through the query string or something, or the segments of the URL. And then you're using this actor ID for obtaining the actor. Let's change this to name of. This is just retrieving. Can you see this? Line 23. This is just retrieving the actor itself, and it's going to query the state. And inside the implementation of that actor, it's using, again, the state management component. So far, so good. And this is just returning 200, and so far, so good. So is this going to work? I believe so. I think that's it. Before we do this, we need to add the actors to your web API. So you need to add some lines of code similar to the one that we use, remember, add Dapr? But we don't use add Dapr here. I believe you can, but I'm going to show you builder services, add actors. This is the method that you want to execute, and then you want to pass that actor runtime options. So this pattern is very common in ASP.NET Core applications. You pass the options object, and here you can configure the thing. In this case, I want to register this actor. Which actor? Well, my actor, right? The one that I created before. You're just registering the actor in the infrastructure. And I believe you can also use some other things if you want to tweak things a little bit here with Dapr. But I believe this is enough, and you can also go ahead and execute map actors handlers if you happen to be using that. It can be used to configure the endpoints. So I believe this is required. Otherwise, the actor proxy object is not going to be injected. We can test that. Anyway, I'm going to I'm gonna use this map actors um, handlers method right here. Amazing. So I think we're ready to execute this. So let's go back to the terminal. Let's go back to Dapr in action, and then my actors. And I want to use the state management component that I have in my home folder. I didn't create a component for this project. I'm just relying on the default component, right? So Dapr run, just your regular Dapr run, app ID, let's name it actors or my actors, and then Dapr HTTP port is going to be 55,000, app port, let's use 5500, and we have the ID, we have the Dapr HTTP port, we have the application port. Of course, I need to control that. So .NET run, and then URLs, HTTP 5500, and let's see what's going on. So this is running. And if you see the messages, you can see that the placement service is gonna take a bit of a job here. I mean, it's gonna do some things because it's gonna use the placement service for creating the actors and place them around. In this case, of course, I'm using my own machine here, but this is actually what's happening. Placement, actors placement client, many different messages. I strongly suggest you go ahead and watch those messages. Anyway, I think we're ready to rumble. I can execute Dapr list, right? This is running, and I can use curl or postman. Let's reuse this one. So my actor's host address is going to be 5500, and my actors, right? So let's use this get and oppose my actors, content type, application JSON, data, and we need the, is that the data or what was the name? This is, yeah, actor ID that comes from the, I believe the segment, right? So I don't know, 100. Let's see if this works. So send request, enable to resolve service for type Dapr actors client. So I'm gonna use my own technique instead of using that. Let's go back here and let's just use the following. So actor proxy factory, let's use actor proxy, create, and then my actor. I believe this can work. Let's go back to the terminal. Let's execute this. So this is running. Let's go back here, send. Oh no. What's going on? 5500. Is that the other? Let me go back here and let's use actor proxy.create. I'm using add actors. Yes, I'm using that. And I'm also using map actors handlers. Anyway, let me try this. Otherwise, I'm going to show you the final version of this demo. And yeah, let's rebuild. everything's rebuilding correctly. And let's do this. Let's try this again. Oh no, something's wrong with this. Anyway, I'm gonna show you the other. I already did this beforehand. My actors, and so Dapr. Let me go back here. Actors, 55,000. It's just the same. Okay. So this is running. And let me go back to my terminal since I want to show you the solution, which is the same one. Okay. So my actors, get my actors, in this case is simpler. Let's send a request, and something's going on with my, oh, I know what's going on. I believe I'm sending the state, and I already have the state that has the same key. So Redis commander. Can you see this? If I so nothing here, and it's refusing. What's going on? Is that because of Dapr 1.15? Redis. So this is running. Redis commander. This is working. There's something wrong with my Redis, I believe. So the error is key not found exception. Actor state, of course, is giving me an error. It makes sense, right? Because I haven't created the thing yet. So let's create something, and then, yeah, of course. I'm just, I was trying to understand why, but of course, I was trying to retrieve something that wasn't created. Well, in my mind was created because I created this other project. Anyway, let me show you this other implementation. So this is the same. I have my actor that has this constructor. I'm not using the primary constructor syntax here. And I have get data async and set data async, and I'm just storing here, right? And I was trying to read something that was inexistent. And here you can see that I'm using actor proxy.create, and then I'm using the same one here in get, and I'm specifying hard-coded actor ID. I'm not receiving, it's not that fancy, right? I'm just creating this ID, and I'm retrieving the state. And then in the first one here in the HTTP post, I'm just setting the state. Hello, Dapr in action, right? So let's go back here. There's something with my Redis, nevertheless, because this is failing. You can see this here. Anyway, Dapr on, and let's try to execute this again. So this is storing the state, and then this is retrieving the state, and this is actually the gist of actors. I wonder if the previous implementation was correct. And in my mind, I was trying to read something that was not created. So let's do this. Dapr in action, and my actors, and I'm gonna Dapr on, Okay, this is running. And I wanna, so in this other case, I need to open that other code. Hold on. Dapr in action 11, and then my actors solution, and then okay, cool. So post, this is the actor ID, and this is of course content, right? And then data is the state. So let's go back here and say data, it's gonna be, hey, oh, send. No, there's something wrong with actor proxy factory. Anyway, the other source code is working right now. And this is actually the same that I wanted to show you today. And remember, I'm just using actor proxy.create instead of injecting that other actor proxy, which I believe it has to work somehow. I'm missing some kind of configuration here. Anyway, this is working. This is just, those are the actors implemented by Dapr. And I think we're ready to say goodbye today. So I'm your host, Rodrigo. This was the actors session with Dapr. You can see that this is very powerful. Of course, I just scratched the surface. Okay. I strongly suggest, if you're interested in actors, of course, you can go ahead and navigate to the Dapr documentation. But this is actually it. This is the gist. You create those objects that represent some kind of entity. They have state. You send messages to them. You don't have to worry about the infrastructure and the messaging. Dapr is going to take care of that for you. And yeah, actors are fantastic. So clean. The implementation is so clean and so powerful. Congratulations to the entire Dapr team for doing this. Okay. Sartak. Hi, my friend. So this is your host. I'm Rodrigo, and see you next week. Okay? Take care.